1.
Hello everybody, I would like to share with you the information regarding habits or the way how the children are eating, special about fussy eating with children. That knowledge is based on my experience, based on the training that I received, and I hope the tips that I will share with you will be useful for you or just will be food for your thought. So let's start. You know that according to the research, when it comes to fussy eating with children, the most important aspect of this is the way how food is presented to them. From the young age of 6 months, if food is presented in the way that child dislikes or amount of choices is unsuitable, it can affect the child's eating habits for the rest of their life. I often hear from parents such things as child is too young, there is a time for child to develop its palate, or when it was younger, when I was younger, I always didn't like those foods. For me it's just a lot of excuses. In my work with young children, I take both opinion, and I have realized that the area that you introduce a wide range of food to your child with different tastes, different texture, different shape, the child will be used to try new food in future and will be more open to such choice. I would like to underline that the first 5 years of child's life have a huge impact on their later existence. In early years, children have special requirements for food and nutrition, which must be rich and wide ranges. I would like for the parents to remember that child obesity is once more rising, and 1/3 of children in the age 2 and 15 are obese, and only 1 in 10 children in age 2 up to 4 fulfill all the physical activities guidelines. Many parents ask me what type of food should give to children. I ask you to remember that children should have at least 3 main meals and 2 up to 3 small healthy snacks. Remember to offer children food for 4 main groups. It is starchy food, fruits and vegetables, protein, no dairy sources of protein, and dairy alternative food. I often find children be described as a fussy eater, problematic eater, or picky eater, when in fact it's actually normal behavior for the children, and it often occurs between the age of 18 months and 2 years old. This comes as unwillingness to eat family's food or wanting to try new food. Children got a strong food preference, usually to small number of food, which result in poor dietary variety. Sometimes children may seem picky, but they just might be nervous to try new food or that are unfamiliar to them. Fussy eating is closely connected to parental anxiety. When it comes to eating healthy, this makes mealtime much more challenging for both sides. To understand what is important to look at eating behavior in any years, parents need to remember that infants' food intake changes daily, not weekly. There is many factors which can influence picky eater: illness, teething, constipation, stress, forced eating by parents or pressure to eat by parents. A situation such as child drinking too much milk, which does not make them hungry for proper meal. At age of 4-5 years old, children can initiate the ability to overeat and eat much more than needed. For example, they finish everything that's given to them on a plate, even if it's too much for them for their daily requirements. Only because the parents have recorded into their brain that they must eat everything that is on a plate all the times. It comes also because they are only eating for their surroundings are doing the same, or children can also learn what comfort eating is at this age. Let's take a look at why this occurs in children by looking at the very beginning. As babies, there is always a preference for the sweeter tasting, whereas the other forms of flavor must be learned. Their preference is learned through exposure to the food, imitating the surrounding by what they are eating. Chewing skill develop between age 6 and 10 months, but only in babies who experience having food in their mouth. At this age, children recognize food but sigh, so giving them food from jar of food punches make it hard for them to recognize by sight. It's better to offer homemade food, as they can learn to recognize the smell, sight, or taste of the family food. It's also important that the children can play with their food at this age. It allows them to explore the texture further. Research shows that children who are introduced to the lumpy food after 9 months have more feeding difficulties at the age of 7, unlike those who have been introduced earlier. Remember that the children like to eat what is familiar to them, and they eat what they like. Parents often ask me how many times should they introduce the food to the child. They have introduced at least 5 times and still there's no progress. My advice is to you, do not give up. It can take up to 20 times before the child gives in. You must be persistent until your child is finally comfortable to try new food. When giving exposure to the new food, it's often confronting to the child to see that their mom, dad, or carers are also eating the same food and enjoy it. Remember, when offering the new food, ask the child to taste a small amount. It does not necessarily mean that they have to eat the entire meal, or as long as they taste some of it,